Forum. This is our volume 5th and the first issue of this volume. And we are very glad to have wonderful articles in this edition of the EdCLAN. So today we have with us two of our contributors who have contributed their write-ups for this edition. Ms. Darlene, she's joined us all the way from Finland, and Ms. Inderjeet Kaur. And we are so glad that today we'll be releasing the journal. And we also have with us two of the new additions of the ECDF family. Mr. Tijay Gupta, he is the who and co-founder of Bachpan and AHPS group of schools, a very well-known figure in the early childhood education as well as the higher education. And we also have with us Mayuri Dutt. Mr. Tijay joined as the Vice Chairperson of Early Childhood Development Forum, and he will be working towards, how we can get in the best practices of ECCD into India through our mutual collaboration and the different events that we have. And we also have Dr. Mayuri Dutt, who has joined us from West Bengal, and she has joined as a patron member. She has been a part of many of our programs and events, and she is very much in our, in planning of the events that ECDF generally has. And so I welcome all of you today for this grand launch of the 5th volume, first issue of EdCLAN. So let me share the screen and show you a bit. But before that, I would like to hear a little bit from Mr. Gupta about the latest trends in the early childhood education sector that we can see now, So over to you, Mr. Gupta.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So first of all, thanks to Vasavvi ma'am and entire ECTA forum for having me on board. I think early childhood is an important part and is a very integral part. I think very well understood now in India after NEP. Vasavvi ma'am, I know her personally for last 4-5 years, ma'am, or more than that. And she is doing wonderful work in this segment. Irrespective of the fact, results are there or not there, local government supporting, not supporting, that is a separate part. But at least we all have combined to understand the requirement and the work required for this category. So talking about the recent development, I think pretty much have changed in the past 2 years. The curriculum has changed. The content has been changed. Very soon, the government, many state governments are coming up with their own bal bodies also, and that too with a complete setup. Setup means to know like it's not only about a 4-wall kind of setup. They have classrooms also. They have digital content also. Now they are going with books also. They have kept the fees affordable also, because it is being very well understood that this segment, once they are prepared up till UKG or up till their KG segment, once they are going to a formal school, the base is very important. Many new apps and literacy programs are now being introduced. For example, if any educators there, many of our educators have got content from the numerous literacy program, financial literacy program. Now we are talking about basic AI. We are talking about the basic robotics. I'm not denying the fact that kids are very small to understand robotics, but at least we have introduced that topic for the robotics. It's not like that they are not familiar, or even I'll say what I'll always say, like it is more important to make a parent understand for our early childhood rather than the child. Child is about 3 years, 4 years, but parents are very well versed. So they should know the positives, the negatives, the outcome, the segmentation, the defragmentation, the curriculum, the content for their kids. They should know what is going to come in their life, right? So at least we have started preparing the kids now in a better way. And I'll say a big thanks to COVID for that reason. If there's one thing that COVID gives, is that it has changed the entire life, segmented scenarios in all the cases. Before COVID, we don't talk about online sessions. Now we are doing online sessions, and every school is doing online session for parents also. Saturdays, Sundays, we can see the classes happening. We can see the online PTMs happening. Bangalore as IT hub. So we have many parents who doesn't come to PTMs. Now PTMs are happening virtually, right? So at least a parent will get the insight what is happening in the child's life when they are going to school. So I think these kind of changes will bring very good result in the time to come. Whenever a child would be going to a K-12 or a primary school, these changes are important and necessitated into the life, or rather than will make a child more skillful and more bring the potential up to the standard. So I think this is all on a brief note is happening in this segment. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. It's given an insight. I think even Darling got to know about, what the scenario in India is like. It's more into the higher classes, the higher education, and early childhood sector has been very long ignored, but now it is not so. Things have changed, parents have changed, the mindsets have changed, and people have started to understand the importance of these early years, the first 8 years of a child's life. And definitely, I think with all the changes that Mr. Tijay has now pointed out, we are actually heading in the right direction finally. And I feel that this in next 20, 25 years, we get to see really well-rounded grown-up individuals who would be more ready to face the world with the newly acquired skill. Because once the mindset is ready, they're ready to acquire a lot of new skills. So before going ahead, let me tell that Ms. Dr. Mayuri Dutt has joined us, but today she's been traveling for a very long time, and I thank her for joining as, and she's on board as a patron member, and we are very, very glad to have her. But today she unfortunately she'll not be able to speak much because she's got a throat problem, but she's joined because I just invited her to be a part of this. And yeah, now let us go ahead with the release of and check what is there in store for all our readers in this edition of the EdCLAN. So this is how the issue looks. And so the editorial is about, the latest things that we did in all these last 6 months. And then we have our section of experts speak, where there are wonderful articles which are very, very insightful: a decline in physical capabilities, scaffolding the world around us through the senses, exceptional learners, homeschooling. And then we have covered our events that have happened during the last 6 months. So there's a feature event of our Gurugram conference that was so wonderful, and Mr. Tijay had also been a part of this. And then then there's a write-up by me about raising 21st century ready children through a peace approach. And then we have these contributions from our educators, like nurturing potential. That's again a wonderful read because I've been editing these articles, and yeah, it definitely gives a lot of insight when you keep reading, new literature, new things, new content. It does a lot of kind of mind-opening work. So here's Darlin's article. So we are yet to hear from her what she has to say in this article, which is very much and very well researched. And this is by Darcel. She could not join us today from the UK, as she's still in her kindergarten and she's been busy all around the day. Sukaina article on exceptional learners, unveiling the stories of the hidden gems. And then we have one on homeschooling. And this is our event in Gurugram in April that was held in association with the Salvan Education Trust, a very successful event where we had a lot of, educators, principals, and school leaders joining and also contributing in terms of their experiences, which they shared through these different presentations that we had. We had panel sessions, individual presentations, and also an award session. And this is about raising 21st century ready children through a peace approach, a short write-up. And this is nurturing potential, the crucial role of early diagnosis and assessment for neurodivergent children. Very, very interesting because it gives us a lot of insight into how we can recognize and identify and what the caregivers need to do. So this is about our recent EduTour conference and awards that we had in Cirebon and Jakarta in Indonesia. So ECDF signed a lot of MOUs where we kind of, discuss about the best practices that can be shared, that the trainings that we can do, and it's all across the different two countries, which is really very interesting because we got to see a lot of what they are doing, which is again very interesting work. And here we are with our new board members who has joined us. Mr. Tijay, we already got to hear from him. Dr. Mayuri is present here, and Dr. Abdul Karim, he's from Indonesia, and he's a professor, and he's been doing integral work, a lot of work into early childhood development in their area. Again, there is an article followed by our summer camp. So ECDF essentially works for children from the marginalized section. So we were very glad when the ECDF Youth Squad, which is our youth wing for leadership development, they came up with this summer camp with street children, where these children, they got an opportunity to learn different art, craft, music, storytelling, and all of it. And these are our last 6 months events. So this is definitely going to be a wonderful read. The awardees of our ECDF Global Pinnacle Education Awards in Gurugram. And these are the event pictures. So definitely this issue, I feel, is going to be a wonderful issue in terms of the articles, the value it carries. And now coming to Darlene, who has joined us all the way from Finland. Let us hear what she has to tell about a decline in physical capabilities. What does your article essentially consist? Darlene, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for the invitation and for having my article in your edition. Yes, so getting children moving in the early years is becoming absolutely crucial. And children are not becoming coordinated naturally like they did 10, 20 years ago. So, it is up to the adults to really inspire the young children to move now. I am the founder of Move Kids, which is a program that is actually providing the fun activities that are achievable and simple for educators to implement. There's so much research now, especially here in Finland. They're doing so much research about the importance of early years movement. And even they are now really revamping that area of their curriculum. And Move Kids provides simple, achievable, fun activities, but with different skill focus, really ensuring that children develop all-round body coordination and physical self-confidence, which they should have by the age of 7, because this is what supports them. It gives them the confidence to join in other sporting games that are happening around them. And of course, for brain development, it really is becoming very evident that movement plays a crucial part because more and more children are having difficulties in the classroom. There's a much more diverse range of children nowadays, which makes it extremely difficult for the educator to manage and make a positive difference with every child in their care. And by having, a movement resource where they can actually do movement activities at different times of the day, and we provide support for the teachers because, of course, they also have to have confidence teaching. So an observant teacher and fun movement activities can make a very significant difference to children's development. Thank you.
Wonderful. So this is really, really interesting. And, like you said, movement is much related to the brain development. So it's sometimes, there are times because it's the good or the bad of technology that children are very glued to the screen. And then we sometimes as adults, not us because we are into the early childhood sector and we are in the schools, but as parents, we try to overlook, what is actually happening to the child when they're sitting and there's no movement. So yeah, essentially we require such programs to boost, to add on, to, show new dimensions, how they can do this, how they can go about moving, making the children move more. So yes, so anybody who is interested can also contact Darlene to know more. And we move on to the next article by Inderjeet. And that's Yes, there she is. Just give me one moment. It's the basics. So she's joined us today. So would you like to tell a little about what your article is all about?
Yeah,
Inderjeet, over to you. Good evening.
good evening, Dr. Vasavvi. I'm happy, I'm glad to be here. And a lot of thanks to EdCLAN for giving me such an opportunity. Uh, I have selected this topic, which is of much concern in today's life, in today's education sector. It's rightly said that we have to prepare our little kids to face the world. So the age group from 3 to 8 years is very much crucial for the development of the child, and it has been reiterated a number of times. Uh, but this issue, that is the 3 Rs, the basics of education, this issue has quite been neglected in our education sector. So I took up this topic where I found I have been in this sector for quite some time now, almost 27 to 28 years, where I found that parents of our kids have been they are not so much educated about these concerns, that is reading, writing, and arithmetic, and how to prepare them in advance for the higher education. So while I was writing this article, I also researched on from a number of parents and a number of teachers as well, where they found themselves to be pressurized on these issues as to how to deal with such a situation. So this article is all about how to deal with and what's of reading, writing, and arithmetic. So it is so important for early years, moving them from say Balwadi to class 1 or the foundational years of learning, and uh, how to make them uh, to start off with the writing so that there are no negative impacts of these 3 Rs. If it is started at an early age, then they might have a lot of problem in their handwriting, their motor development, or it could also be their cognitive development, for example. So my issue deals pertains with to such an issue, and I hope and feel that I have dealt with most of the areas where the concerns, where my educators and my precious parents will feel delighted to read about it. So thank you so much for having me write on such an issue. Thanks a lot once again.
Thank you, Inderjeet. This is a wonderful insight because, yeah, we talk about the basic numeracy and the literacy skills and the ways of introducing them in the right manner, in the right tone, and at the right age, and how much. So that is, again, another important aspect, how much is okay for the child or how much is for their understanding. So it has to be very age specific, very scientific, and very well researched, because if we just go about it, it can create a lot of difficulties in the future learning abilities of the child as well. So yeah, I think this is again going to be a wonderful read, and I'm sure this issue of EdCLAN, which we are releasing today, would be again, because we've got a lot of online readers, and also fortunately this issue onwards, this volume onwards, we are having a few schools that have kind of subscribed for their parents, because our parents are our major stakeholders. It's not only training of the educators, but a lot that the parent needs to learn about what is going on in the child's lives. And so I request all of you, those who are interested, to subscribe to the e-copy. We also print a hard copy so that we can circulate it within India. So if you would want a hard copy of the same, you can get into the subscription page or write to us at ECDF info2019@gmail.com, and our team will get back to you in terms of how you can subscribe a copy for yourself, and even an e-copy. So I thank everybody today for joining us, and it's been a wonderful journey so far. And now with a very strong, three, in fact, very strong additions to our board, with Mr. Tijay as the Vice Chairperson of India, Dr. Abdul as a Vice Chairperson of Indonesia, and Mayuri as our patron members who've been working so long and so diligently in this sector that I feel that we will be coming up with a lot of beautiful events. So your last words before we part, Mr. Tijay, a closing statement?
I think you've spoken everything. So definitely would love to work in this. And like, I think in the time to come, maybe next 6 months, 1 year, you can see massive more and more efforts and new initiative from ECDF forum. I think we'll take it forward and we'll do wonders. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you. In spite of your busy schedule, you have joined us. And yeah, so I formally again announce our release, which is already done. So in a few days, all our subscribers would get their e-copy, and all the subscribers who subscribe for the hard copy would get theirs. And so with this, we say goodbye and happy weekend ahead to all of you. And until our next event, online or offline, see you then there, and stay safe and stay happy. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.